If you are looking for all things real estate and an in-depth look at market fluctuations and answers to all your buying and selling questions, look no further than real estate expert Lisa Hill. Lisa brings her vast 15-year knowledge directly to you every week, sharing her own struggles as she navigates you through the twists and turns of the real estate world. Lisa has been sober for 9 years and has been motivating people ever since. A speaker, mentor, and teacher, each week Lisa will welcome guests from all facets of the industry to ensure you are as informed as possible before making any real estate decisions. This is the Lisa Hill Show, real estate for the real world.
Hey, what's up, everyone? All right. This week, we're talking all about home buying, okay? It's been a crazy last few weeks. I talked about it in last week's episode. The market is super hot right now. And I wanted to do this episode specifically for buyers to give you some tips. If you're out there looking for houses, shopping around, or even thinking about buying, I want to give you, this is more of I want to start in with some of the cautionary type stuff when you're buying a house. So I start out the podcast with some of the emails or questions of the week, and I want to share a few stories. So what happened this week, there's two stories of things that happened this week that are kind of profound. One of them is in all of my 15 years of real estate, I had something happen to me for the very first time. I don't like it very much, but I had an offer that was rejected. Okay, so what that means is typically when you write an offer as a buyer, so it was for a buyer that I was representing. So we saw a property that we liked. My buyer said, hey, we want to make an offer. It's a little out of our price range for what we're pre-approved for, but we really, really want this and we want to write an offer on it. So I said, okay, they're probably going to come back to us with a counter offer for our full price. They said, okay, not a problem. We'll take a look at it, make an offer and see what happens. So I wrote up the offer, and the sellers rejected it, which means they didn't come back and counter us. They said, sorry, it's too low. We don't even want to talk to you, pretty much. So you guys, that's where the market is now. It's never happened to me before that our offer was just a little less than what the list price was, and they flat out rejected it. So we have to be, so now with these buyers, we looked at another property, wrote a full price offer because I prepped them and said, hey, if you want this property, and if you want even a chance to get to, to even have your offer looked at, because there's so many competing offers, you're going to have to go in at full price competitive offer. And so, which we did. So that really is a good indicator of where the market is right now. So for the sellers, it's good. I put a house on the market this morning and I have 6 showings of agents that are lined up, and it's just been a couple of hours. And so that it shows where the market is right now when you're getting multiple calls, multiple showings, multiple offers on property. So it's great for the sellers, but for the buyers out there, we have to be competitive. When we're out there shopping and making offers, we definitely have to be prepared that there's competition out there. So if you see a house that you really want, you have to jump on it and be prepared to make a full price offer and something that's very competitive. So another story that I want to share, and this one does not have a happy ending to it. Unfortunately, a coworker of mine, she came in my office and she was really, really upset because they had a deal that was closing and it was her buyer that she was representing. And she comes in my office and says, my deal just fell out of escrow, which means that it's no longer a viable deal. And I asked, well, what happened? And she said that her buyers during the escrow process purchased a car and they no longer qualify. And they tried a couple different ways to still make the deal work, and there's just no way because they don't qualify with that extra added debt on there. So you guys, if you're in escrow right now or you're thinking about buying a house, don't do anything without talking to your lender first. Don't even sneeze without talking to your lender. Don't transfer money around. Don't have huge deposits or huge withdrawals. Don't charge up your credit cards to buy new furniture for the house that you're going to move into, because you might not move into that house. And that's the truth. And that stuff really does happen. And so unfortunately, they're just a few days away from closing escrow. And what happened is their mortgage company, they pull their credit again. So, which is standard. All mortgage companies will do that because they want to make sure that you haven't financed another property, that you haven't ran up debt, and that you still qualify for the house. And in this case, the purchase of their car threw them out of home ownership. They couldn't purchase that house because what banks look at, and probably the number one factor of why people do not qualify for homes, is their debt to income ratio. So the overall debt needs to be at roughly 50%. Half of your income has to be freed up, because the banks don't take into account your PG&E bill, your water bill, gym bill, all of those extra payments. They don't take that into account. So when you're getting qualified, they're looking at gross income, and they look at just what is on your credit report as far as your debt amount to your income amount. So in this case, their car payment, $400 car payment, threw them way out. And most people are basically right on that line. You very rarely see people with 60, 70% of their income that's freed up and not and doesn't have debt. That's just the case. So if you add an extra $400, $500 car payment on top of that, then you no longer qualify, unfortunately. So in that case, they lost money, they lost their deposit, they lost all of their time, they lost money on inspections, appraisals, and so they're out a couple $1,000s, and they can't purchase a house that they want. So it's a cautionary tale, just to be sure that you do not do anything during the escrow process without running it by your loan officer first. So even if it's something small, just to be on the safe side, just run it by, because that small thing that you think is not a big deal could potentially cost you your house and thousands of dollars. So I hate to share that story, and it didn't have a good ending, but it's the truth, and it's what happened. So what else is going on in the market? When you're looking to buy a house and you're out there making offers, make sure that the lender that you are using is a reputable lender and someone that you trust. There's so many competing offers out there that they're going to look at who you're financing through, and that'll help determine if your offer is going to get accepted or not. Because if it's not a local lender, or it's someone they've never heard of, or somebody that does not have a good reputation, or a bank that doesn't have a good reputation, then your offer, like lined up with 5, 6, 7 other offers, is not going to be as competitive. So be sure that the company that you're getting pre-approved through is a good reputable company, and it's a local one. It's not an online one. I don't like those. Like when I see them, so I'm accepting offers on my listings for my sellers. If I see that it's like an online type company, your offer is going to be at the bottom of the pile. I mean, I'm just being honest. It's not, because those companies tend to have longer turn times. And there's no repercussion. So like if it's a local lender, they know that they're going to see me at the local association meeting, or they're going to run into me somewhere at some industry event, and they're going to have to face-to-face see me. And if they screw up the deal, then that's something they're going to have to deal with. But these companies that are online and Quicken Loans and get your pre-approval, it's like a call center. They, in my opinion, they generally aren't as responsive, and I don't like to see those. And when I present them to a seller on my listing, I say, okay, look, here's this offer. However, the pre-approval is from a bank that's an online company that I don't know who they are, and I can't say that I've worked with them ever, or I'm ever going to work with them again. So let's look at this other competing offer. So that's just what happens when you go with online companies. So be sure to use somebody local and someone who has a good reputation. Get a referral from your realtor. Don't use somebody that you have never worked with, and not an out of area one either, because they don't like that either. We're in the Central Valley. So if you're out there and you're shopping for houses in the Central Valley and you have I've had this happen to me before where I had a Bay Area lender, and our median price point, our loans are, 200, 300,000. Well, the Bay Area, they're 600, 700, 800,000 and up. So I had a lender tell me, well, your loan amount is the lowest one that I'm doing, so it's bottom priority. So, I'm not saying that all Bay Area lenders act like that, but there's a probability that we fall into the low priority category because we are, less than half the amount that they're normally dealing with and getting paid on, because it's paid on a percentage. So local lender if you're shopping local. Okay, and a little bit about the process. So if you do want to start looking for a house, the first thing that you do want to do is get pre-approved. So although you want to start shopping, and most people, which is totally fine, get on their phone and they start looking at houses and they see the neighborhood and the type of house that they like. But don't call a realtor to go look at property unless you're pre-approved, because you can get your hopes up, and if you don't qualify for it and you qualify for something else, it's not really, it doesn't help. It doesn't help anything out going to look at properties that you might not qualify for, because then you get discouraged. And then a lot of people that I know that do that, they're looking online, they're shopping, and they want these big houses or in this certain area or school district, and they just don't qualify, and it gets a little discouraging. So the first thing you do when you're starting to think about buying a house is to get pre-approved and see what you qualify for and see what the payment's going to be. The escrow process generally takes 30 to 45 days. So you got to be ready to move. So if you talk with the lender and you get pre-approved and you shop for a house, once you go into contract, 30 to 45 days, you're going to be packing and moving. It can go very, very quickly. The lender also, during the process, something else to be aware of, they are going to ask for everything. Like I talked about at the start of the show with the pulling of the credit right before close of escrow, they check everything, and it's for your own good. It's good that they check everything because it helps protect home ownership, that people who aren't qualified aren't getting into home ownership. And then we have the situation that happened in 2008 and 2007 when the market crashed. And so it is quite a process. But if you know that going into it, and you keep that in mind and know that when it's all said and done, you're going to own a house and it'll be worth it, just keep that in mind. So again, when you go into escrow or you're going to buy a house, don't buy a car. Don't charge up your cards, and don't do anything before running it by a lender. So again, if you guys have any other questions about home buying, or if there's anything that I didn't cover on this one, go ahead and shoot me an email, lisa@justlistwithlisa.com, or you can go to lisahillteam.com and shoot me an email and let me know. All right, guys, thanks.
Thanks for stopping by the Lisa Hill Show. For more information, please visit lisahillteam.com. Catch us on the next episode when Lisa brings you more real estate for the real world.